Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, 327-2. Tayesha yadhi prakriter guneshvabhi abhivisajjate aham kriya vimudhatma kartasmityabhimanyate. When the soul is under the spell of material nature and false ego, identifying his body as the self, he becomes absorbed in material activities. And by the influence of false ego, he thinks that he is the proprietor of everything. The soul is under the spell. Spell. Use this word spell. Like magic. Mm. Influence, basically. You can say spell means like uncontrollably stuck, being influenced by something. Like spell of magic. Like it can't come out. Right? Like that. The soul is under the spell of material nature and false ego, meaning it is almost like literally controlled by this. And so it's identifying body as itself. The soul is thinking that I am the body. He becomes absorbed in material activities because of this absorption. Because of this identification, he becomes absorbed in material activities. And by this influence of false ego, he thinks that he is the proprietor of everything. So he wants to lord it over. This is mine, so I have to enjoy. This is the consciousness with which we have come to this material world. Actually, the conditioned soul is forced to act under the pressure of the modes of material nature. Living entity has no independence. Okay, it has minute independence. When he is under the direction of the Supreme Person of Godhead, he is free. But when under the impression that he is satisfying his senses, he engages in sense gratificatory activities. But when under the impression that he is satisfying his senses, he engages in sense gratificatory activities, he is actually under the spell of material nature. So though the Jiva has little independence, Prabhupada is saying no independence because literally Jivas are not able to use their free will to come out of this spell. Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Prakrite Kriyamanani, one acts according to the particular modes of nature he has acquired. Guna refers to the qualities of nature. He is under the qualities of nature, but he falsely thinks that he is the proprietor. So this we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita also. So So we are under the qualities of nature. Everybody is under the qualities of nature. But that's not the soul. That's just the three modes and its influence on our body and gross and subtle body. Mm. Uh, but we are under the qualities of nature. But many times we think that these modes are so powerful that we cannot come out of them. We cannot come out of their influence. That's not true because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's second chapter, he directly tells Arjuna, transcend the modes. Traigunya Vishayaveda Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. Transcend the modes. And then subsequently Arjuna asks saying that how do I transcend the modes? And Krishna directly answered by bhakti, the practice of devotional service. So by practice of devotional service, though we are actually literally bound up like hands and legs tied. If somebody's hands and legs are tied, how can he move about? So like that, literally our whole material existence, we are bound up by these material modes. But bhakti is so powerful that it can completely free us. So Prabhupada is saying, though we are under the control, meaning we are bound up, we still think that we are the owners. How foolish. Hmm. So we are bound up, hands and legs all tied up. And then we are still thinking, oh, I'm owner. I can do whatever I want. I can't do whatever I want. I've been tied up. So this is a false sense of proprietorship. It can be avoided simply by engaging oneself in devotional service under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his bona fide representative. So we should understand that we are not the owners, we are the servants. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually in his has written a series of songs called Sharanagati. So in that he clearly says Sharanagati means person has to just become servant of his house. And the house has to be a temple. House has to be a temple, we have to become servants. Then there's no question of false sense of proprietorship because we are not the owners. Krishna is the owner of the house. Everything is being done for Krishna's pleasure. Then we will not think that we are the owners. And how if house becomes the temple, then pretty much all our activities will be on the transcendental platform because we are doing everything for Krishna. We are cleaning for Krishna, we are cooking for Krishna, we are earning for Krishna. In fact, we are even brushing our teeth for Krishna. We are taking bath for Krishna. We're doing everything for Krishna. There's nothing that we are doing for our own selves. Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita was trying to accept. He's trying to accept for himself the responsibility for killing his grandfather and teacher in the fight. But he became freed from the proprietorship of action when he acted in another direction of Krishna. So Arjuna was thinking, oh, how can I kill? How can I kill my grandfather and teacher? Which means that he has taken up the responsibility of saying that I am going to kill, but I am not killing, I am the soul. But when I think that I am killing, that means that now the karma phala will be mine. No, but the same killing had to happen, but it happened because it happened under the direction of Krishna. So there was no reaction for him. So we have to eat. Mm, if we eat, we are going to get reactions. Um, but when you offer it to Krishna, there's no reaction. He fought, but he was actually freed from the reactions of fighting. Although in the beginning, when he was non-violent, unwilling to fight, the entire responsibility was upon him. That is the difference between liberation and conditioning. Conditioned soul may be very good and act in the mode of goodness, still is conditioned under the spell of material nature. A devotee, however, acts completely under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Thus, his actions may not appear to be of a very high quality to the common man, not otherwise. To the common man, it might not appear like a very high quality work. Oh, he's just sitting in the temple and doing some puja and chanting. He, what useless, he's a failure. That's what common men think, common people, because their goal is sense gratification. Ah. But because the devotee is doing everything under the direction of the Lord, the devotee has no responsibility. No responsibility meaning it's not that he is irresponsible, but he's not taking up the ownership of that activity, meaning he doesn't become bound by it. He's doing everything for Krishna. So Krishna says do it, he's just doing it. Mm. So like Arjuna was thinking, I am going to be responsible for killing. No, devotee is not going to be responsible for anything he does because he's doing everything for Krishna. Of course, if he's a pure devotee, pure mixed devotee, then mixed intentions, mixed desires, then we become bound up by those reactions. But a pure devotee does everything simply for the pleasure of Krishna. So there's no reaction for him. Only when we take up, only when we become responsible for our action, will we take up karma phala. But we will not, Krishna will be responsible for the action because we are doing under his instruction. That's why devotees who are in mm, positions of, guiding other devotees or, you know, like maybe yatra leader, temple president, etc., etc. A very, very big responsibility because whatever we do or we let people uh, under our guidance do, we have to take up that responsibility. We will become responsible for those actions. And so, if we are encouraging things which are not as per Shastra, we will have to go through the accept the reactions also. So, it is very, very safe for devotees in such positions to simply follow very accurately Shastra because otherwise we'll end up having to deal with the reactions of our decisions, thought process, etc., etc. Very, very dangerous. And like position of a guru is very, very dangerous because if anything wrong done by the disciple, the responsibility goes to the guru. Guru doesn't mean only Diksha Guru, right? So somebody is doing Shiksha Guru also becomes responsible. Mm. Like I said, people in position, they become responsible. And that's why we have to be very, very careful not to let devotees, if there are devotees under our guidance, we cannot let them do whatever they want, especially when they come and ask us. Of course, it depends. Like there are different types of Shiksha Gurus, those who take full responsibility, those who take semi responsibility, like that, right? But we have to be very careful because if we are not acting based on Shastra, then the responsibility will come on us, and then we'll have to suffer for that. So devotee that way doesn't become responsible for his actions because he simply follows accurately the instructions of Krishna as per Shastra. And if devotees are expected to follow the instructions of Guru, it has to be first hand from the Guru, not third hand, not tenth hand. Meaning somebody tells, somebody else tells, then like that. Somebody not directly coming from Guru. Somebody else is saying, no, no, this is what Guru wants. This becomes like Chinese whisper. No, I guess all of you know Chinese whisper. Chinese whisper is a game where people are standing or sitting in a circle, and then one person starts the game by telling something into the ear of the person next to him. Not loudly, right? Just into the ear, whispering into the ear. And it's only allowed to be done once. And then that person now has to repeat that same thing to the person next, and so on. So inevitably it is found that by the time that message comes back to the originator of the message, it's totally something else. This Chinese whisper. And this normally happens, because the level of detail to which an instruction has to be given, it depends on the individual's ability to take that amount of detail. So now suppose say there are 10 things that are told, I can only remember 8, or I am willing to only follow 8, for example. And then I'll just ignore the other 2. Then when I pass on this message to somebody else, I pass on only 8. Now that person might only hear 6. So by the time it comes down, it might just be 1 or 2 or 3, right? Instead of the original 10 that was told. So it's very, very important that actually these instructions, especially if we are following instructions of Guru, it has to be first hand, because Shastra is first hand. We read, what Prabhupada is saying in his book, right? Similarly, if Guru's instructions are first hand, then there is no doubt. Also, because when Guru's instructions are first hand, we can also ask for clarifications if we don't understand something fully, or we want to understand it slightly more clearly, etc. But when it comes nth hand, it becomes very, very difficult. Maybe the some instruction has come through somebody else, but it's also good to then reconfirm that with the Guru, saying that I'm engaged in this kind of service based on I'm under this person's guidance, and I'm engaged under this in this kind of service. Mm, and just clarify with Guru that it has Guru's blessings. It's very important. Otherwise, we might end up trying to achieve something which may not actually be what the Guru wants, but which is just something misinterpreted. Anyway, the whole point here is, as long as it is exactly as per Guru Sadhu Shastra, then the devotee doesn't become responsible for the action. That is the whole point. Because he's doing everything for superior, under superior instructions. Tena samsara padavim avashopyeti anirvitaha prasangikai karma doshaihi tadasanmishra yonishu. The conditioned soul therefore transmigrates into different species of life, higher and lower, because of his association with the modes of material nature. Unless he is relieved of material activities, he has to accept this position because of his faulty work. See, it's a very, very clear instruction. One has to be relieved of material activities. One has to put a full stop to material activities, because there is always fault in any work. Krishna talks about this in Bhagavad Gita. Any work we do in this material world is faulty. It's very difficult, especially in Kali Yuga, to be very pure without fault. So one has to be relieved from material activities. This is not figurative. It's not like it doesn't actually will interpret it, but it's clearly saying should be relieved. Here the word karma doshai means by faulty actions. This refers to any activity, good or bad, performed in this material world. They're all contaminated, faulty actions, because of material association. The foolish conditioned soul may think that he is offering charity by opening hospitals for material benefit, or by opening an educational institution for material education. But it does not know that all such work is also faulty, because it will not give him relief from the process of transmigration from one body to another. And Prabhupada is clearly saying all this kind of charity business is not good. It's faulty. Clearly stated here, Sadasan Mishra Yonishu. This means that one may take birth in a very high family, or he may take birth in higher planets among demigods for his so-called pious activities in the material world. But this work is also faulty because it does not give liberation. To take birth in a nice place or a high family does not mean that one avoids undergoing material tribulations, pangs of birth, death, old age, disease. That's always there. A conditioned soul under the spell of material nature cannot understand that any action he performs for sense gratification is faulty, and that only his activities in devotional service can give him release from the reactions of faulty activities. No other way. Because he does not see such faulty activities, he has to change to different bodies, some high and some low. This is called samsara padavim, which means that the material world from which there is no release. One who desires material liberation has to turn his activities to devotional service. There's no alternative. There's no alternative. Like again, Prabhupada is one has to be relieved of material activities, and that's the whole idea of this varnashrama. Right? I've been highlighting this multiple times because we should not just assume that I will continue my material work forever. We have to give it up, especially for those who don't have a need for it. Some people, unfortunately, they have financial need for it. Meaning, if they don't do it, possibly it will be difficult for them to take care of their family, etc., etc., right? In that case, they might do. But those who have means to take care of their livelihood, they should absolutely put a full stop. Absolutely put a full stop. अर्थे ह्यविद्यमानेऽपि संसृतिर्न निवर्तते ध्यायतो विषयानस्य स्वप्नेनर्थागमो यथा. Actually, a living entity is transcendental to material existence. But because of his mentality of lording it over material nature, his material existential condition does not cease. And just as in a dream, is affected by all sorts of disadvantages. See, just as in a dream, what disadvantage do we have in a dream? It's only during for the duration of the dream, that's all. As soon as the dream ends, whatever inconvenience we are going through, it'll stop, right? So this whole material existence is a dream. This is not our real position. That's why our acharyas say, Jeev jago, Jeev jago. We have to wake up. We need to wake up from this sleep, from this dream, and see that actually, oh, I'm transcendental to material existence. Why am I engaging in material activities? The example of a dream is very appropriate due to different mental conditions. In dreams, we are put into advantageous and disadvantageous positions. Similarly, the spirit soul has nothing to do with his material nature, but because of his mentality to of lording it over, he is put into a position of conditional existence. Simply because we are trying to become the boss. But Krishna is the boss. That we are not remembering. And so we have been put here again so that we can try to continue to be the boss. And that results in actions, which results in karma phala, which results in taking birth again. Conditional existence is described here as dhyayato vishayan asya. Vishaya means object of enjoyment. As long as one continues to think that he can enjoy material advantages, he is in conditioned life. As soon as he comes to his senses, he develops the knowledge that he is not the enjoyer, but the only enjoyer is the Supreme Person of Godhead. Actually, see, this is a very nice statement. As long as one continues to think that he can enjoy material advantages, mm, there may be material advantages. Krishna might give us some material advantages, money, comfort, whatever it is. Maybe good family for some people, good health, whatever has been given. Uh, we should not think that it is for my enjoyment. Oh, I have a lot of money for my enjoyment. I have good health for my enjoyment. I have good family for my enjoyment. Uh, As long as we continue to think that it is all for my enjoyment, we are in conditioned life. I'm be chanting Hare Krishna, but still we are in conditioned life. Meaning this is the stage of anartha nivritti. So anarthas are there. Because of anarthas, we are thinking, oh, this whole existence is for my enjoyment. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 5.29. He is the beneficiary for all results of sacrifice. Bhoktaram, Ignatapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, proprietor of all worlds, Suhridam, actual friend, Gnatva Mam Shanti Mrichati. But instead of leaving proprietorship, enjoyment, and actual position as the friend of all living entities to the Supreme Person of Godhead, we have to leave these positions to Him. Meaning, we should not try to act in this position. We should leave that position to Krishna. We claim that we are the proprietors, enjoyers, and the friends. We perform philanthropic work thinking that we are the friends of human society. Someone may proclaim himself to be a very good national worker, the best friend of people and of the country. But actually, he cannot be the greatest friend of everyone. The only friend is Krishna. One should try to raise the consciousness of conditioned soul to the platform of understanding that Krishna is his actual friend. If one makes friendship with Krishna, one will never be cheated and he will get all help needed. See, simply we have to make friendship with Krishna, we have to trust Krishna. Then we'll never be cheated. Even if somebody wants to come and cheat us, Krishna will protect us. So we'll get all help needed. Simply we have to depend on Krishna. Arousing this consciousness of the conditioned soul is the greatest service. This is the greatest service, not some charity work. Not posing oneself to be a great friend of another living entity. The real friend awakens, arouses this consciousness. The power of friendship is limited. Although one claims to be a friend, he cannot be a friend unlimitedly. There are an unlimited number of living entities and our resources are limited. Therefore, we cannot be of any real benefit to the people in general. We can be of some benefit to one or to few people, 1, 2, 10 maybe, but not to everybody. The best service to the people in general is to awaken them to Krishna consciousness so that they may know the supreme enjoy, supreme proprietor, supreme friend is Krishna. So this is the part of our daily service that we have to do is to preach to people whom we know, don't know, whatever it is. We will tell at least, one new jiva saying that, hey, I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. You're not going to get happiness by being on this, acting on the platform of the body. Activities of soul are so delightful. They're so they make us happy. This we have to tell people. Come, experience it. We have a program going on here. Please come. That's all. Mm. So we have to awaken people to Krishna consciousness. Then this illusory dream of lording it over material nature will vanish. So what does this mean? The more we engage in teaching, the more will come out of the illusion. Mm. So we have to be engaged in preaching. Like I said, preaching is starts with our actions and then with our words, say maybe in the family, to friends, uh, neighbors, then even to strangers when you're doing book distribution or when people come to our, organized satsang programs. We have to preach. We should not think, oh, I don't know much, what shall I say? We should understand that the person to whom you're speaking will obviously know less than what you know. So it becomes a responsibility to actually give, help that other person out. Now, if you don't want to do that, it's just self-centeredness. Oh, no, 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 I don't want to preach because I am like this, I am like that, whatever we want to attribute ourselves to. It's all self-centeredness. It's not Krishna conscious, it's self-conscious. And we should just simply take it up, take this up as a service. Yes, whatever little I know, that much only I will tell. No problem. That's what is expected. And as we start telling little things, then we will also read up, we will learn more to tell people more. Because whatever information we have, we've been giving out. Now, where else will new information come unless we read? So then we'll also engage in serious reading. So if we preach only, then we can come out of our illusion. Even that, actually, though these processes are so powerful, because we are so conditioned that every activity seems like it's taking a lot of time. But actually, it's not. In the view of eternality, eternal time, it's not. It's a very fast way to progress towards our eternal position. Right? So please engage in preaching. Don't shy away from preaching. That's what will help us make progress. Okay, so I'll stop here if anybody has any questions, comments. All clear? Okay. Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Prabhuji, in the Kurukshetra, Arjuna, like, okay, Krishna is in front and Arjuna knows that he has to do it for Krishna. Duryodhan was doing it out of envy. And, you know, if Krishna was not there, the people who were with Duryodhan, they were doing it as prescribed duty. So they do not get karma, no, Prabhu, or do they still get karma?
No, prescribed duty should also be dharma, no? Prescribed duty doesn't involve adharma.
Okay. So, Prabhu, like when they are fighting for Duryodhan means that they're doing adharma.
Yeah, because you have to understand the overall dharmic situation, right? So one who is not, see, that is why this dharmam to sakshat bhagavat pranitam, right? Dharma is very, very complicated, complex, right? Mahajanayana gatasya panta. Only when we hear from authorities, then we'll understand, oh, okay, what is the problem with Duryodhana? Duryodhana was not a devotee of Krishna. Duryodhana was envious of Krishna's devotees. So he's not worth of being sided with, right? So they shouldn't have fought.
No, but Prabhu, do they have so much of jnana in them, or you know, like for them, it's just like, okay, so it's a fight, and you're being paid, and you just do it.
Yeah, but it
like
cannot.
doesn't it become obligatory? Like, you know, इतना उनको ज्ञान थोड़ी ना होएगा प्रभु ये धर्म है या नहीं धर्म है, उनको तो सिर्फ
आजकल के लोगों के बारे में सोचेंगे तो उनको उनके पास इतना ज्ञान नहीं रहेगा, लेकिन पहले तो people were knowledgeable, right? And see, forget about, okay, we don't have to talk about each and every some tiny soldier in the army, right? But most of the people, see, if all those big ones, big guys had not joined Duryodhana, the fight wouldn't have happened at all, right?
So yes, Bhishma Pitama,
all the big,
Kripacharya, right? And
so many big guns, right? Now they should know dharma because they're leaders. This is the whole point, right? If leaders are misdirected, then everybody is misdirected, and the reactions are experienced by the leader if he's misdirecting. This is the point I was making, right? So
yes, I understand that, but I'm just my point of clearance is like now the military which is fighting there. They are doing it because they are paid and they are trained. It's a Kshatriya dharma. It's their prescribed duty. They don't understand what you know, the Krishna side and that side that time. Like it just becomes a fight and they have to do it. Even when the big guns, like you say, took the side and then ultimately say it was Krishna's will. I mean, then, you know, all these, we give this coverage, like because he was paid, he had to do it. The Brahmin need not go to fight, but he had to do it because he was paid. Bhishma Pita could have put his foot down, but he taken a vow, so he went. Then all these excuses prevail, no, Prabhu. Then where is
But that's the reason why he had to go through whatever he had to go through, right? Otherwise, he should have
point?
been in a
Good,
different position, right?
good.
So because he took up the wrong side, he had to give up his body in
Yours,
such
yeah, yeah,
a, yeah, not
drastic
like
state.
glorious, not a
Yes,
glorious way, right,
yes,
for somebody
yes.
like Bhishma. So
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, various things, right? But point is that if you are not, and in fact, Prabhupada also writes, right, the destiny that Bhishma had to accept was just to show that even if somebody is the most virtuous, but if he's not taking the right decisions, if he's not siding with the right parties, he still has to go through the suffering. He still has to experience the result of his decision, right? So he lost, and he had to die that way. But because there are internal reasons, Krishna protected his glory by, making him speak at that time and glorifying him in front of so many other great souls of this world, etc., etc. But the truth was also that he had to, accept that such kind of way of parting from this world. So it is, I mean, we can give whatever reasons, right? But ultimately the result shows, correct? So the simpletons, the simple soldiers who are fighting, um, yeah, it's like, for example, a king becomes responsible for that. Mm. So that is why this is a very complex thing, right? Like, see, the Varnashrama, king is supposed to be righteous. If king is not righteous, then everybody is driven in the wrong direction and he becomes responsible for it. So, which is why they were absolved because Krishna was there and they
Yeah,
all were able to go to Vaikuntha, right? But otherwise, the king would have been more responsible. But because they're also doing, because see, as human beings, we are expected to be responsible, right? And previously, the consciousness was more of dharma yuddha. People were not fighting for some, this one. So that consciousness was always there. And if you read Mahabharata, you will understand. I mean, why Mahabharata? In even Ramayana, right? Like Krishna, Rama, and like Rama had to abandon Sita because of one washerman, right? Or some ordinary person in Ayodhya speaking like that, mm, about Rama. So it's not like they were ignorant of Dharma. We are thinking like that because we are in this Kali Yuga and we have no sense of all this. But previously, these times, Dwapara, Treta, etc., people were much more knowledgeable than we were in terms of Shastra. Mm. So yeah, it's, it's complex. That is the reason why Prabhupada says that Varnashrama is the beginning of cultured human life, right? Because anybody who's trained in Varnashrama, they know about all this. This is like just part of their basics that they would know. Dharma, this is not good, this is good. And everybody used to be conscious about doing the right things. That was the quality of people, no? In like we read in the 11th canto, 12th canto about qualities of people in different yugas. We see that generally Kali Yuga only is the most fallen, right? Even in Dwapar Yuga, they still wanted to do dharmic things. They wanted to do right things, though there are still some sense of sense gratification, etc. But they still wanted to do it the dharmic way. So, which means that they knew dharma. Yeah. Okay.
thank you.
And yeah.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Anybody?
Pranam Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Just like I want some guidance, like you said, of preaching. So yesterday, I started with Srimad Bhagavatam, preaching it to my mother.
Mm-hmm.
She's chanting, but she's like fond of hearing Bhagavatam from the speakers. They have Bhagavat Saptah, and
Mm-hmm.
on television, like she's fond of hearing Bhagavatam. Matlab,
Okay.
she knows about Krishna consciousness, but like she's doing Mishra Bhakti in Navratras, she's doing Durga Stuti part and things like that. So I was thinking I should start reading Bhagavatam with her. So just guide me. How should I start? Should I start one verse, like verse by verse, or yesterday? So I just told her about the introduction, like Bhagavatam introduction.
Mm.
So
No, I mean it
and
depends on
one
her.
shloka I took. Hmm.
Okay, it depends on her level of interest and the depth she can actually she's willing to hear. Uh,
Okay.
you will have to decide based on that. Generally, it's good for first timers, like what I done for many people. Like, oh, during Corona, we had so many new people joining and etc. And then I wanted them to get attached to Bhagavatam and by Bhagavatam. So we went through like summary study of the chapters, meaning we go through all the read through the translations and just explain them at a level that they can understand, not going into each and every purport and all that. So first level should just be that
Like,
they should understand what's going on, what is required. Till then, once they becomes little more serious, then we go into more details, right?
okay.
Especially because generally we'll recommend saying that people have gone through Bhagavad Gita and they've completely clearly understood the philosophy, etc. Right? But if that's not the case, and if you're doing Bhagavatam directly, which is okay, because it's being done by a responsible devotee, then you just only give how much ever they can consume without going into too much depth, because the idea is to mm, make sure that they can continue to hear, because that will give them benefit. And of course we will not dilute anything, but we might not tell something which they cannot consume.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
And Prabhuji, my family, like my parents' side, like my brothers, sisters, like they are like fully materialistic people. They are
Yeah.
pious, like they believe, some believe in Durga Ma and others in Lord Shiva. So should I like kind of tell them to listen to this because they are not interested? I send them messages that if you want to join class, we can have together, we can discuss. Like they are not interested. So should I go ahead with persuading them or should I leave them?
No, no, I see. Say Prabhupada in some purports in Bhagavad Gita, he says that for people who are not favorable so much to Krishna consciousness, engage them in some uh, you know morally or what is socially acceptable activities. Like for example, they could give some donation, they could on festivals come to temple, so in some ways they can just engage in some forms of in some activities which are devoted to Krishna, right? But hearing and all is far for them, is far off
Yes.
for them. So all you have to engage is normally what I do with such people is just encourage them to give some donation. Say that like there is some whatever, right? Whatever is some cause
Yes.
for getting them to
Mm.
donate some money on a regular basis, right? And then you send them, if they are near you, you give them prasadam, right? Or if they are somewhere else and they are making donation, whenever they make a donation, send them some prasadam. Mm, try to invite them home. And see, generally, hearing is the very is what is the topmost form of bhakti. It's not for everybody, right? But we can also see, if suppose say somebody is inclined towards some social causes, political causes, somehow we have to figure out if there's a way to dovetail it initially, right?
Yes. Mm.
So yeah, it has to be more indirect initially than direct. Direct will not help them because they'll just be totally disconnected then.
Right,
You
right.
got this.
Mm. And Prabhuji,
Yeah,
like we are
preaching
reading
means
Bhagavad
innovative.
Yes, yes.
Teachers have to be innovative.
Exactly. At least they have like become favorable towards me.
Yeah,
Earlier, so they all were against me. Like when I
yeah.
came to Krishna consciousness, so I had to face so many challenges. Like 10 years back, they were all like anti, uh, like they were
Okay,
after my life, ki you have spoiled your things and like that. Now they are like calm, they
okay.
are favorable to.
One more thing you can do for people, especially who are favorable to Lord Shiva, is
Mm.
you can pray to Lord Shiva yourselves, right? Because actually Lord Shiva is Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambho. So we can pray for his mercy.
Right,
And
right.
we
Mm.
can encourage them to, they can go to send them to, for example, some yatra places, right? Where Lord Shiva is worshipped,
Okay.
which are also
Mhm.
connected to Vaishnavism. For example, they can go to
Mhm.
like maybe Vrindavan, they can go to all the Mahadev's temples, or like for example, in Bhubaneswar, there's Lingaraj. So any of the our dhams where there is Lord Shiva being worshipped, you can encourage them to go, like go and visit the place. They'll get benefit, and you can also pray to Lord Shiva. Will very Ashutosh is very merciful. So he can bestow. He can do wonders for them.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And Prabhuji, there are few like doubts like while reading Bhagavatam, small things. When can I ask like?
You just put it in the
Um,
group on the
okay,
study group. I'll answer
fine,
them. Others can
fine,
also
fine,
answer. Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Okay.
Thank
Pramad. Okay. We'll end. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय समवेत गौरव भक्त की जय हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji,